I'm going to go ahead and keep it a buck here and say that we are absolutely sleeping on China's capabilities when it comes to it versus the US. Now, militarily, up to this point, they have not been able to light a candle to what the US can do. But financially and in the way that they portray themselves across the globe, China is actually in a better position now than the US is on the global world stage. China owns so many third world countries at this point based on lending them money and then using the money that they lend, knowing that they can't pay it back, and whatever infrastructures that they make, whatever the money was applied for, if it was applied for bridges or ports, if you can't pay that money back, it goes back to China. So China owns your port, China owns your highway, and so these little countries are being bought out by China's aid. And on top of that, the West is literally trying to get their stuff into Chinese markets. It's trying to have an influence in there. All our entertainment is being geared toward China, and they have a huge amount of influence in what we watch and what we see and what we hear and what their side of the story is. And if all that stuff doesn't issue any red flags for you, then maybe this will. Today, China was the first nation to send out a hypersonic nuclear missile around the globe, landing it somewhere back in China, and it only missed its target by 20 miles. A hypersonic missile that caught the world by surprise. This thing looks like freaking Godzilla. The way that it's exploding looks like Godzilla shooting a beam up into space. The US and Russia are both working on different aircraft that can do the exact same thing this missile basically did, which is ride the atmosphere, ride in orbit, and then come down. That way it rides on its own momentum. That's basically what this missile did. It went all the way up into orbit and wrapped around the world over the US. That means while you guys slept comfortably in your own beds, a nuclear missile was flying overhead, and then it came back around and slammed back into China, because obviously it was a test. But what if the test had failed? What if it landed somewhere in a different country? What if it landed out there overseas and made a humanitarian crisis in the oceans? What if any of that stuff happened? Well, we can't really control China. China sent out the coronavirus. That's something that, in my opinion, is 100% proven at this point, that the coronavirus has a basis of origin, whether it is natural or unnatural or man-made, from China. So China really hasn't seen any sort of slapback from that. Nothing has happened to it. No new sanctions, nothing. So China can do whatever it wants. And this missile is something that even the top US Army officials are saying that they have never seen anything like it. They never even seen or thought of a nuclear missile going overhead. It goes right over our nuclear defense capabilities, because we only defend on missiles that come below orbit. We have nothing to defend or deflect above orbit. China is in a tremendously advantageous position right now, and this basically shifts the world stage. Now the US and Russia, or any other country that wants to get into the arms race, they're going to have to figure out how to make missiles go into orbit. And then once that happens, it's just a tricky slope. It's a very slippery slope, guys. This really blew my mind when I saw it today, and it's crazy to even think about. Let me know what your thoughts, if you have any, on the situation. This is going to be Sunscape signing off. Take care, guys.